Well, welcome. We have Traye Holland here today with UNM Student Health and Counseling. And today we're really going to focus on how we can take care of ourselves in the process of taking care of others. When I was preparing for the session with Traye, he mentioned, the idea of putting on your own face mask on a plane before you help those around you. And so we're really hoping that this is kind of a fulfilling session of reminding ourselves of the care that we need on a daily basis. So we're very appreciative to have Traye here today, and I'll let you get started. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you very much. Let me just go ahead and share my screen, and let's hope that I can get it to actually. Sometimes technology works and sometimes it works against you. Can you guys see the slides right now? Okay.
Yes, we're seeing them.
Great. So let me minimize this. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me here to speak with you guys. My name is Traye Holland, and I am the Mental Health Training and Development Specialist at UNM. So it's a new position, and basically what I like to say is that I am mental health's #1 fan at UNM. It is my job to make sure that everybody at UNM, the students, know ways that they can take care of their mental health, and also that they are aware of the resources that we provide at SHAC. So I'm having trouble going to full screen, so I might just go like this if that's okay. Can everybody see this? Is everybody okay with this?
And Traye, I also see in the bottom right-hand corner the 2 arrows. I wonder if that would help expand it.
That's helpful. Do you guys see it full screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So the title of this slideshow is Mental Health and Wellness, an Introduction. And as I go through it, you are probably going to encounter some slides that are a bit derivative. You're going to think, Traye, I know what mental health is, but it just helps for me as a presenter to kind of build a foundation. I kind of want to describe these key terms before I go into exactly how we can take care of ourselves. So that's what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss key mental health terms and concepts. I'm going to give you some examples, and then we're going to talk about good mental health practices. That's probably where we're going to spend the most time. And then at the end, we will discuss local resources, and then we'll have time for answering questions. And then after that, which I forgot to add, we will do a breathing exercise and a grounding exercise. So before we go into talking about how you can take care of your mental health, first, we need to define what is mental health. And mental health, what I like to do is I like to compare it to physical health. That's a term that everybody's familiar with. Well, just like you have physical health, you also have mental health, right? Your mental health can be good or bad, just like your physical health can be good or bad. And there are a lot of things that can impact it. So what it says here is mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. So why is it important that our mental health is good? Well, because it impacts so much. If our mental health is bad, then we are not able to relate to others very well. We struggle in our relationships. We struggle with our decision-making, and we struggle with our ability to regulate stress, on top of other things. So really, if your mental health is poor, if you're not taking care of yourselves, you're really negatively impacting every part of your happiness, your well-being, and your ability to function, which is very important whenever we talk about you guys and your position as caretakers. Everybody here is in a caretaking position. And it's sort of the phrase, who watches the watchman, who cares for the caretakers, right? We have to take care of ourselves because nobody else is really going to look out for us the way that we are going to look out for us, which is that metaphor I like to use, or the simile of being in a plane and the oxygen mask dropping down. And they say you have to put your own oxygen mask on before you can help anybody else. because you're no good to anybody else if you haven't taken care of yourself first. So here are the factors that impact mental health. There's biological factors, life experiences, and especially family history. If your family has a history of mental illness, then you are at higher risk of mental illness. Life experiences, particularly childhood, can all factor into mental health. But one of the things I want to clear up is there is a difference between mental health and mental illness. So mental health is not mental illness. Mental illness does play into your mental health, but similar to physical health, right? How you can have a heart defect or say diabetes, but you can still be healthy. You just have an extra thing that you have to be aware of and you have to take care of. Mental illness is a lot like that with mental health. You can have a mental illness, say anxiety or depression, and still be mentally healthy. You just have something that you need to look out for and something that you need to take extra care to take care of. So these are common mental illnesses that are listed here. I put anxiety at the top because it used to be that depression was what we called the common cold of mental illness. Really now it's anxiety, and I think that's just a sign of the current times that we're in, that anxiety is just so common, especially we see it a lot in students. So this term, I probably do not need to describe to you guys. You guys are probably well knowledgeable about what stress is. But one of the things I want to clarify is that not all stress is bad, right? There is a certain level of stress that is good. The body would not have stress if it didn't need stress. Stress is what helps you perform. It is your body's way of responding to any demand. All right. For example, before this presentation, I was feeling stressed about this presentation. Not a bad level of stress, not a debilitating level of stress, but stress at a level where I knew that I needed to make sure that my slides were prepared and I knew what I needed to talk about. Athletes feel stressed during and before a game, and that helps them perform. That helps them get in the zone. It helps them concentrate, and it sends adrenaline to the muscles so that they can do their job. So the difference between good stress and bad stress is really the severity and the duration. So short-term stress that helps you perform well is good. That is good for you. It's good for your job and your ability to perform. Bad stress is long-term debilitating stress that is so crippling that you can't even function. So really, whenever we talk about regulating stress, we need to take that extreme level of stress and bring it down to a manageable level. And the way that we do that is through coping skills. Now, long-term effects of stress can have devastating effects long-term on your body and on your mind. It can lead to you feeling burnt out. And there is a lot of studies being done about health issues and their relation with stress. So I'm not going to go over all of this, but just know that stress, and you guys already know this, that long-term stress is not good for you. It's not good for your mind. It's not good for your body. But whenever we cope with stress, we are talking about coping skills. So coping skills are tools and techniques that you use to help you handle difficult emotions, decrease stress, and establish or maintain a sense of internal order. Basically, what do you do whenever you feel stressed to relieve that stress? And everybody copes without necessarily knowing what a coping skill is. You may or may not have heard this term before, but you have coped before. The only issue is that not all coping skills are good for you. There is a difference between what we call positive and negative coping skills. So what is the difference between those two? It's healthy versus unhealthy coping skills. And I like to use the metaphor of the lifesaver versus the alligator. And this is something that I like to tell students. I've done this presentation on coping skills several times, and I always use this story to try and get a laugh, and it works. It hasn't worked yet, but at some point, I hope that it works. Here's the story that I use. So whenever you're stressed, a lot of times it can feel like you're drowning, like you're in a body of water and you're having trouble keeping your head above water. Well, a coping skill is something that you can grab onto to help you stay afloat and above the water. A healthy coping skill is like a lifesaver. You can grab onto it and you can keep your head above water. While an unhealthy coping skill is like an alligator. You can grab onto an alligator and you might be able to keep your head above water for a time period, but eventually it's going to come back to bite you. So how do you know the difference between a healthy and unhealthy coping skill? Well, you got to ask yourself, is this coping skill, is what I'm doing to regulate my stress, how does it make me feel? Does it make me feel good? Does it make me feel bad about myself? Is it helping me deal with my problems in a productive way? Is it harmful to my physical or mental health? And another important one is it negatively impacting my relationships or obligations? So let's go over some examples of what a healthy or an unhealthy coping skill is. These are some examples of unhealthy coping skills, and we'll go through them in detail right now. So unhealthy coping skills such as abusing substances, alcohol, say if you're stressed and you drink alcohol to feel numb or to delay that feeling or to sort of just not feel anything, it's not really a healthy coping skill, first of all, because alcohol abuse is very bad for your body. And if you start to rely on it, you risk alcohol dependence and addiction. And that is a whole level of other problems. And I say substances because, alcohol is not the only substance. Caffeine addiction can be an unhealthy coping skill. Caffeine in small doses can help you concentrate and keeps you awake, but in large amounts puts a lot of stress on your nervous system. Impulsive spending. If you like to buy things to feel better just for that little dopamine rush of having bought something, it's good to treat yourself from time to time. But if every time you're feeling stressed, you go out and buy something, then you're just filling your house with stuff you don't need, and you're risking direly impacting your financial situation. Self-isolating. It's okay to separate yourself for a time and come back with a clear head. But if you are completely cutting out the people in your life and not spending time with the people you care about, that's just going to make you feel worse. And it's similar to avoiding the issue, just pretending the issue doesn't exist at all, and not resolving it or not dealing with your emotions. Under eating. It's good to have a healthy relationship with food, and sleeping too much or not enough. Sleep is very, very important, not only for your body, but it very much directly impacts your mental health. So those are the unhealthy coping skills, but let's talk about healthy coping skills, things that you can replace these unhealthy coping skills with. So here are ways to positively impact your mental health. These are good coping skills. And as I go through them, this is probably the slideshow that we're going to spend the most time on. But as I go through them, I want you to think about balance. Mental health is all about balance, finding balance in your life and in your wellness. So whenever I say, for example, exercise regularly, it is good to exercise regularly. It is good for your mental health, but you do not have to be built like Michelangelo's statue of David in order to feel good. However, getting some regular exercise, making sure that you're taking care of your body is good for your mental health. So it could be something as simple as going for a walk for 30 minutes. But let's go through these one at a time, and I'm going to spend a good amount of time on this slide. So ways to maintain your positive mental health. These are healthy coping skills. Connecting with others. So just like an unhealthy coping skill is isolating yourself, a healthy coping skill that can replace that is connecting with others, maintaining positive relationships with your family, with your friends, staying close with like-minded people. Very, very good to keep your stress levels down. Human beings are social creatures. We've been designed to be social. We love to connect with others. So if you get to spend time with other people that are like-minded and people that you care about, it's very good for your mental health. And also, especially when you're grieving, grieving with others is very, very powerful and great for helping you kind of resolve those difficult emotions. Exercising regularly. Exercise activates those feel-good chemicals in the brain. So just like exercise is good for your body, and one of the things I like to make sure I want to remind people of is the brain is a part of the body, right? It's an organ. So what you do to impact your body is going to impact your mind. So exercise activates those feel-good chemicals in the brain. It also can help reduce that soreness of sitting around too long, sitting on your butt too long, your knees hurting. It can resolve those, make you feel better. And whenever you're not just aching and feeling in pain, that can resolve stress. This third one right here, which is extremely important, is get enough sleep. As a matter of fact, I would say if you don't remember any of these healthy coping skills, I would say get enough sleep.
Yeah.
I would say get enough sleep is the
Hello,
one.
hello, it's Brittany.
How's
We
it
have
going?
somebody who
Hi.
is on
Yeah,
mute.
yeah.
Just one
Okay.
second.
So there's two options.
Okay.
There is an
Okay, I figured it out. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
that's okay. It threw me off for a second. I thought they were saying hello to me, and I was like, hello. But anyway, if you don't remember anything else, remember get enough sleep. We don't exactly know everything there is to know about sleep. The brain is still, there's not a whole lot of knowledge about what the brain is, but whenever you sleep, it is your body repairing itself and your mind sort of sorting through your experiences and filtering away what needs to be, it's making connections, committing recent experiences to long-term memories, and also associating those things with positive emotions. So if you haven't gotten enough sleep, and whenever I say gotten enough sleep, I mean REM sleep, which if you pay attention to what a sleep cycle is, a lot of that REM sleep happens in the latter 2 hours of an 8-hour sleep. That REM sleep is very important for committing things to long-term memory, for improving your cognition. If you aren't getting enough sleep, you're just not functioning at the level that you should be. So establishing a regular sleep time whenever you can, making sure that you're getting enough sleep is very, very important. The next one is eat healthy foods. Just like your body needs nutrition in order to perform the proper functions, your brain, in order to activate those feel-good chemicals, to create those feel-good chemicals, it requires nutrients that it gets a lot from food. So what you eat is going to have an impact on your mind. So if you're eating a lot of sugar and a lot of high levels of salt, you're not going to be performing at an optimal level, because sugar, what you risk there is a sugar crash, right? So if you eat a lot of sugar, you're really hyped up, and then all of a sudden you have you go, I need to eat more sugar, or I need to drink more caffeine. So really here, what I want to emphasize, whenever I say eat healthy foods, I don't mean you need to become a complete vegetarian. Still treat yourself. I love a burger and fries, but maybe limiting those things and eating more fruits and vegetables, healthier, more wholesome foods that are going to keep you full longer, and not skipping meals. Please do not skip meals. Take the time to take care of yourselves. Practicing temperance. And whenever I say temperance, I mean limiting substances such as caffeine. Caffeine, like I said before, is good for your cognition. In small amounts, it can help you stay awake. It can help you concentrate. But in extreme amounts, it puts a lot of stress on your nervous system. This next one is getting sunlight and fresh air. So really connecting with nature. Sunlight has vitamin D, which is very good for your mind, and fresh air has actually been shown to improve people's overall mental health and their sense of well-being. And a lot of these you notice that you might be able to combine. Getting sunlight and fresh air and getting exercise. How about going for a walk outside your office? Or whenever you eat lunch outside if you can, or if you have an office, if you're lucky enough to have an office with a window, maybe open up the window. That is a great way to incorporate these concepts in your life without necessarily drastically interrupting your schedule, because you really don't want to go too extreme with any of these, especially like intense sudden changes. So if you say, okay, I need to eat healthy, then I need to completely change what I eat overnight. Well, then you're just stressing yourself out. That coping skill is just going to become another stressor. So just moderate changes that balance in your life that help fit your everyday schedule. And this next one, that is another important one, is reach out for help if needed. There are counselors, there are resources available to you that if you are struggling with something, please reach out. And earlier I talked about mental illnesses and the way it plays into mental health. I also want to emphasize, if you've ever seen a DSM-5, which is the big purple book that therapists use that is full of all the different mental illnesses and diagnoses, it is a huge book. And I want to encourage you not to diagnose yourself. It's similar to, say, I have an ache in my shoulder. Let me Google ache in my shoulder and go to WebMD. Every time you Google any symptom on WebMD, by the end of it, you are going to be absolutely convinced that you are dying of cancer. Please do not try and diagnose yourself. That is something for professionals. Mental illnesses are a term for professionals. Please consult with a professional. So another coping skill, and this is where we're going to talk about we're going to do a mindfulness and a grounding exercise, is what is mindfulness? So mindfulness is the practice of gently focusing your awareness on the present moment. The human brain is an incredible organ. The ability to think and to rationalize and to create all these impressive technologies is amazing. It's phenomenal what the brain is capable of. The problem is we tend to think a little too much. We tend to get a little too inside our heads and think and worry about stuff that's upcoming and plans and stuff that's going on in our lives, that it just stresses us out. So mindfulness and what we call grounding exercises, we call it grounding because it's really pulling your head out of the clouds. It's a great way to get yourself out of your head and focus on the present moment. So here are ways that you can practice mindfulness. Meditation or prayer, if you are religious, that is a great way to take your mind off of your worries and focus on the present moment, focusing on your breathing, calling attention back to the present moment. So here is actually where we are going to do our breathing exercise. And what I want everybody to do right now is to just, where you're sitting, just get in a position that's comfortable for you. I like to sit up straight. And I want you right now to just tense up as many muscles as you can. So just squeeze your hands, squeeze your toes, focus on all the areas of tension. And then I want you to slowly just release that tension. And I want you to pay attention to where in your body the tension was felt. So how are your shoulders sitting right now? You carry a lot of your stress in your body. Are your shoulders scrunched up? Are you tightening your arms? Or are they loose? Are they kind of drooped down? How is your tongue sitting in your mouth? Is it pressed up to the roof of your mouth? Or is it just sitting there where it should be? Pay attention to where that tension is at. And a great way to sort of resolve that tension, this is something that I like to do in my own personal life, is to do a breathing exercise. And there are dozens of different breathing exercises. You can find them online. But the breathing exercise that we are going to do here is called box breathing. So as I said before, I would like for everybody to sit in a position that's comfortable. I'd like you to sit up straight though, because we're going to be breathing directly into your stomach. And a lot of times that's something that's difficult because most people breathe through their chest, but you can get a deeper breath if you breathe into your stomach and exhale through your stomach. So this exercise is something that is called box breathing. So feel free to close your eyes if that's comfortable. You can also keep your eyes awake. But whenever we say box breathing, I want you to think of really a square, because we're going to inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and complete a box. So what I would like for everybody to do is we're going to breathe in through the nose into our belly, and we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. So if everybody would just breathe in through their nose, and then we're going to hold that, and then exhale gently through the mouth. Pay attention to how your body feels as we go through this. Breathe in through your nose. And then exhale through the mouth. 2 more. We're going to breathe in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Last one, breathe in through the nose. And then exhale through the mouth. So that is an exercise that is called box breathing. What I would recommend is you find a breathing exercise that works for you. But that is something I like to do whenever I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling overwhelmed or I feel stressed out. At the office, what I'll go and do is I'll lock myself in my office or in the bathroom if my office is too noisy. Now, the bathroom's not the greatest smell in the world, but it is a quiet place that I can practice deep breathing until I feel regulated, until I feel calm, and I feel like I can go back out there and do what I need to do. And that's a great thing that you can incorporate into your daily routine. Another quick one, if you cannot focus your time on a breathing exercise and you find yourself thinking too much, is to do a grounding exercise. And a good grounding exercise is to just look around you and grab something that's closest to you, grab anything. So for me, that would be this beanie that I wore whenever I walked to work this morning because it was super cold. And whenever you have this, whatever item it is in your hand, I want you to pay attention to how it feels. How does it feel in your hand? Does it feel cold? Does it feel soft? Does it feel hard? Does it feel warm? And what is the color, right? Is it gray? My beanie's gray. Is it a light gray or a dark gray? It's about medium. And you could even go, well, what does it smell like? So you hold it and it smells like cloth. It smells like the detergent I used to wash it. And how do you feel having it in my hand? Well, it's a loose beanie. I've had it for a long time, so it's been very stretched out. And I like it. It's very soft. It's very easy to pull over my ears. But one of the things that you've noticed is I've spent about a minute just talking about this beanie in my hands, right? I've just been focused on this beanie in my hands. I've been focused on the color and how it feels. And I haven't been thinking about my car being at the mechanics and needing repairs, or about my bills upcoming, or about the holidays, or about the things I need to do in my job. It's a great way to focus yourself on the present moment and get out of your head to where you can function. So that is another great thing you can focus on. And even if you're just sitting around, one of my favorite ways to practice grounding is to go, okay, what colors do I see around me? So if I'm in traffic, which is a great way, easy way to feel stressed is to be in Albuquerque traffic. So if I'm feeling stressed out in Albuquerque, I will say, okay, what colors do I see around me, right? What color is this car? What color is that car? Okay, how does the steering wheel feel in my hands? It's a great way to bring yourself out of your head and to focus on the present moment. And there is research that shows the benefits that has in reducing feelings of anxiety and depression and stress. So that is our mindfulness exercises. And I hope you guys found those helpful. Now let's talk about resources. So some resources that are national and then some resources that are more local. So national resources that I'm sure you have already heard of is the Suicide Lifeline, 988. If you know anybody or if you are struggling with feelings of self-harm or that you might do something dangerous, call 988. You will be put in touch with a crisis counselor and they can talk with you and connect you with resources. The crisis text line is something I like to recommend to people around my age and younger because we tend to not want to talk on the phone. We tend to want to text. So the crisis text line is like the Suicide Lifeline, but it's through text and it's anything that is deemed a crisis. So it can be suicidal thoughts. It could also be a panic attack. The most common texts that they receive are on Mondays during the school year, and they're about bullying. So it's really anything that you deem a crisis, and you just text hello to 741-741, and you are put in touch with a counselor and you communicate through text. So This next one that I have here is mental health resources. It's our mental health resources page at UNM. This is these are accessible for UNM students and staff. So if you know anybody that goes to UNM that is a staff or student or faculty, they can go onto the mentalhealth.unm.edu page and they can find mental health resources that are accessible for them. But you could also go, and a lot of people may not know about this, if you go to the SHAC website, we actually have a community resources page, which I've sent to Martha, if you are interested in finding it. But the community resources page has a ton of local resources around Albuquerque that are not UNM specific. And it's quite extensive. It takes a bit of scrolling to get through it. So that is a very good resource page to look at. Another thing I want to recommend is taoconnect.org. So Tao, whenever I say Tao, a lot of people think Tao Te Ching. Really, this is not related to that. This stands for Therapy Assistance Online. It is something that UNM has for our students and staff and faculty, and that I actually go around telling people about. It is the way I compare it, it's like Netflix, but for mental health. So how you would go to Netflix and they have different sections, say anime or horror or comedy. Tao has workshops that you scroll through like Netflix, but it's stress management, it's conflict management, it's dealing with anxiety, it's dealing with grief. And you can scroll through it and click on these workshops and choose, or you can even search stress, and it'll pull up different workshops related to stress, and you can click on them and they have them sorted out by length and subject. So you can choose, a 5-minute one, you can choose an hour-long one. And it's videos that are peer reviewed. They are created by experts and there are interactive bits. There's also screenings that you can take and kind of monitor your progress over time. We offer it to our UNM students. If they have a unm.edu, they can register for free. If you are not UNM affiliated, it does charge you, I believe it's $10 a month for a membership. But if it's something you want to incorporate on a staff level, then that I'm not for sure what the pricing on that is, but that is a resource that is available. But I believe that is it for the presentation.